Welcome to Meaningful Conversations with Dr. L. This is a Savage Bull Entertainment production.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of Meaningful Conversations with Dr. L. I am your host, Dr. L, and I'm so glad that you are joining us again on a Thursday evening. It's late. It's 9 o'clock, so all you night owls, I really hope that this is enjoyable to you, and those of you who stayed up to listen to the show tonight, I hope that you find it pleasurable and that you can get a good night's sleep and rest once it is all done. I have been excited about this particular segment for a lot of reasons. One, because I get to feature my nephew, Andre Laws Jr., who I'm telling you, when I listen to him and my husband go back and forth about basketball and, talking about stats and different teams. And of course, he's a Tar Heel fan, diehard Tar Heel fan. I will just, go over his little bio in a moment, his bio, just to tell you guys who he is. But let me tell you why I really wanted him tonight. I have not heard anybody who can break down basketball stats, especially Tar Heel stats. I know we are at a studio in Wolfpack territory, but I have not heard anybody who can break down Tar Heel basketball stats like my nephew. So, of course, we know the big news that popped off this week, and everybody's excited. It's all a buzz. Or was it last week? Gosh, I think it was this week. So I said, you know what? We are going to have Dre come on, and we're going to talk about that news. We'll get to in a moment, which if you know, then you know what the big news was this week in Tar Heel country. I wanted him to come on and to have a conversation. And I also wanted to feature him because, again, I sit back and listen to how he and my husband go back and forth about basketball and the stats. And, I'm always like, just in awe and totally impressed with the knowledge that he has of the game. And I have also said that, he really should have his own, sports series or segment or TV show, or he should be a sportscaster and announcer. So if anybody's out there listening and they're looking for somebody, call me up. I'll be his agent. But nephew, hello. How are you?
How y'all doing this beautiful
I can't.
Thursday night? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. And I
That's
know,
good,
ladies,
that's good.
he's married. So let me just go ahead and say, because he is quite easy on the eyes, right? He and all of my nephews are. So my handsome nephew, Andre Laws Jr. is here. Let me just tell you a little bit about him. He was born in June. He's a June bug like I am. And he was born to his proud parents, Elaine Laws and Andre Laws Sr. Hey, family. Andre is a graduate of Hillside High School, a class of 2002. So to me, he's just a baby. He attended North Carolina Central University, where he played in the band, by the way, along with his other brothers. Randall also played in the band, his other brother. And also, he attended Winston-Salem State University. He has been married. Yes, sorry, he's off market, ladies. I know. He's been married for 8 years to Akia Laws and has two beautiful children, Andre Laws the third and Alexia Laws. And I hope that you all can hear me. I can't hear me in my headset, so I've got our producer over there doing some things because we were getting some feedback. But he is married, has two beautiful children. He also serves as a deacon in his church and is a devoted member of his church. Andre, who we call Dre, is a die-hard Tar Heels fan. He is a die-hard Tar Heels fan. And like I said, I could not think of a better person to have on this show to talk tonight about all things basketball and especially all things basketball on Tobacco Road than my nephew. So, nephew, I'm glad you are here. Are you ready to hop on and into the
Yes.
discussion?
Yes, it's been an honor. I appreciate you having me
I
on.
can't
I
hear
really
you.
do. Hello?
So it seems like we're having some technical difficulties because I cannot hear our guest, and that is important. So I can, okay. All right, so nephew, here we go. Before we jump in, tell us a bit about what attracted you to basketball and sports in general. And, especially since you played in the band at NCCU, and why weren't you interested in music? Why was there such a fascination with music?
Well,
I mean,
first of
with
all,
basketball.
okay, well, first of all, music has always been a love for me, growing up being in the church choir as well, also being in chorus, middle school and high school. But I started playing basketball at an early age when I was in elementary school, and I fell in love with the game ever since.
Well, so, um, uh-oh. Okay. So think about this. I often think about, talents sort of emerging in ways that uh, a lot of times people don't expect. And for me, I just see you are really, really talented when it comes to calling games, when it comes to analyzing games, and also when it comes to the history of the game. And that is important when you think about basketball. What fascinates me about you is like history. So we're going to get into it. So the last couple of years, I think it's fair to say, when what we've seen, at least from my perception, what appears to be a dismantling of the Tobacco Road domination in men's collegiate basketball. So we're seeing teams from the North and West dominate the NCAA. Is that a fair assessment when you think about the history of men's basketball and Tobacco Road schools on Tobacco Road? So Carolina, Duke, State. Is that a fair assessment?
I believe it is, and the reason why is because UNC and Duke has been dominant in the previous decades, and as well as the West and the North teams, they don't really have coaches that are in the 70 range. So it's almost time for the elderly coaches to go ahead and leave because college basketball has changed in so many ways. You have a lot of one and done issues, and I feel like the NBA is really basing off their talent, off potential, not really seeing what these kids can offer them. And then I understand that kids be want to work and try to be better for their family and a better perspective or whatnot. But no, it's not fair. It's time that the college game has evolved and changed, and we just have to adapt to it and still enjoy it.
Yeah, so let's talk about kids being able to leave and leave early and go and what you touched upon, the NBA sort of being able to pick off our best players and early, and so they get to leave early. And you're right. many of these players are coming from middle class families or low to middle income families and backgrounds. So when they have the opportunity to go and play in the NBA and leave college early, and this goes back to talent too, right? Capitalizing on your skills and your talent, they're gonna go. And so you think that is what is leading to sort of the dismantling of the Tobacco Road dynasty, as I like to reference it. But that's happening everywhere. What is it? What's going on with our schools here, and particularly in the South, that can't seem like we didn't even make it to the final 16. We didn't even make it to the Sweet 16. What is going on? That's shocking to some of us who are longtime Carolina fans. I am an alum, and so what's going on there?
Well, you also have to look at it that Kay and Roy Williams are having issues with one and done players because the NBA are already looking at players. Okay, you went to Duke, you went to Carolina, you already know you have the talent because you're coaching one of the best coaches that's walked the face of the earth, which would be Coach K. And you have to also realize that.
Wait, you just gave that credit to Coach K as being a diehard.
You have to respect his endeavors, and I'm not a sore loser. I call the game like I see it, and you have to respect. I respect Coach K to the highest level. And to relate what I was saying, Kentucky's been struggling with it. They haven't won a championship since 2012, which was Anthony Davis and Marcus Teague era. Duke hasn't won since 2015. If you notice, they had problems with Zion in 19. They had problems with Marvin Bagley III. Coach K has had the 3 best top recruiting class in the previous 3 years and hasn't made it to the Final Four. So Roy was fortunate to win 17, 2009, or 2005. I feel like 2016 was stole from us, but that's a different topic. Back to the discussion at hand. Basically what's going on is the college game has passed us by. To throw an outside out, I don't feel like Coach K is going to be there too much longer because he realized that the game has passed him by as well, because it is what it is. We just have to evolve from it, move forward, and still, like I said before, enjoy the game that we love.
So you don't think we're going to see those good old days anymore when we were dominating in the NCAA and the ACC?
Well, okay, now if you want to talk about conference aspect, I feel like we're still a great white shark because of our game, but it's the fact that we're not getting the top 5 talent that we should be getting because of our name. Right. When you think of North Carolina, you're thinking about Charlie Scott, Cunningham, King Rice, list goes on and on, Michael Jordan, J.R. Reed, Rasheed Wallace, Jerry Stockhouse, list goes on and on. You think about those type of players and what they impacted when they was in college, how we having players like Joel Berry, Kennedy Meeks, Justin Jackson, Vince Carter, Joseph Forte, Raymond Felton, Tyler Hansbrough. We're not getting the same talent that we was getting in the last 5-6 years. So yes, I feel like we could still dominate the conference, but this year showed that it was rough because time consuming. The kids didn't get a chance to really meet the other teammates and adapt to their environment. They didn't, I heard on an article that the kids was going to campus. They couldn't even tell you where a building was to get to class. Wow. And that comes from not spending enough time on campus to know your personnel, your coaches, or this, that, and the third. So yes, our time is not passing by. It's evolving. You're seeing Virginia with Tony Bennett, how he was able to win in 19. No one expected Virginia to win a national title. No disrespect to Tony Bennett, but that's the team that you were like, okay, Ralph Sampson had a chance. He made it to the Final Four. That's big enough. But for Tony, the teams is basically just going to a higher level. If you get another team like Florida State, Leonard Hamilton, he's doing an excellent job. I feel like he's the new, not blue blood, but new blood of the ACC. Because if you look at Florida State, you would think of Florida State as predominantly football school because how much championships and success they have had with football program. But now you have a basketball program that's coming up and playing against top 5 elite collegiate schools and playing at a high level, that's respect. So that's salute to Leonard Hamilton for doing what you do. Coming from Gastonia, North Carolina, which is a North Carolina native, but I also like, I salute. Yes, yes,
I
ma'am.
told y'all be smart with this stuff. I'm telling you, he knows his basketball stuff. Look, so nephew, you know, so many kids, again, like I said, are coming out of middle income families, being recruited by top schools and exposed to things that they may not have ever been exposed to. I didn't have this on our on some questions that I wanted you to think about, but what do you think about athletes getting paid? Should they get paid? You know, this whole, you know, should they be able to get endorsements while they're in college? And not only what do you think about it, but do you think that that would change in terms of them staying longer, the real top players, the stars staying longer as opposed to leaving whenever they can?
Yes. Well, you know, when you're in college, your plan is to market your name, to be your top. One of your top accomplishments in college is the national title, but you also want to have your name in the Raptors. So 30 years from now, somebody will be like, okay, I know exactly who that is. So yes, I feel like the NCAA should pay athletes, but I feel like not stepping on any toes, but I feel like it's going to be the PWIs that get the most recognitions. I also feel like HBCUs should get some recognition as well, because there's a lot of good talent that come out of HBCUs that get overlooked because of the school population as well as the conferences that they're in. They're not playing top five elite collegiate programs. So yes, I feel like students should be able to market itself and have endorsements. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Let's stay there with the HBCUs because we have some great HBCU teams, and I know I'm biased, being an Eagle, master's degree from there, undergraduate degree from Carolina, and PhD from VCU. So I'm a Tar Heel, Eagle, and a Ram. But and so I know I'm biased towards NCCU. I believe we've got one of the best coaches by far. And I want to unpack what you just said. We need to do that for a minute. Break down for our listening audience why HBCUs don't get the same coverage and endorsements like other schools. And I know you said it's because of the student population and other things. And so what do we need to change? And I know I'm packing everything, so you can just answer however you want to. But and also, well, let me let you answer that first, but I'm gonna ask you about the Duke and the Central game that's always played, and
Oh
that
yeah.
breaks my heart. So let me start there first. What do we need to change to elevate the prominence of HBCUs, where I've seen some amazing players and coaches come out of these schools?
Okay. To start off with the HBCUs, let's first name my some of my top 10 athletes that came from HBCUs and been successful to the next level, which would be the NBA.
Please.
Number one will
Yes.
be the Pearl Monroe, which is a graduate of Winston-Salem State University. You also have Sam Jones, which was on the 1941 championship team of the Boston Celtics. Okay, you also have Ben Wallace, which is a graduate, as well as Charles Oakley, which is also a graduate of Virginia Union University, which is founded in Richmond, Virginia. Let's see. You also have Daryl Armstrong, which is a athlete that came from Fayetteville State, and let's see. The list goes on and on. But to frame what you were saying, uh, I feel like if the HBCUs was putting on a schedule where they're playing PWIs and they can be successful, then maybe it will open up the eyes for top recruiters to look at players. Okay, this guy went to a small town school, but their team was able to defeat a top five elite program. So I feel like if they can be successful at a high level against top five programs, then maybe top recruiters from across the country will look into it. But okay, we should give the HBCUs a shot. Yes, yes,
Yeah, and what
yes.
about players and their parents and their family members making the decision to go to an HBCU? So when you are a top recruit in the country, we just need some parents and some athletes to say, you know what, I'm gonna take my shot because I'm a top recruit. So the the media's gonna follow me, the scouts are gonna follow me, and if I go to NCCU, that's where I am. And so what's wrong with that? Why do the top recruits? It's almost like they don't even want to look at HBCUs, but it's like I feel, as a former faculty member at an HBCU at North Carolina Central. I also taught undergrad at sociology courses at North Carolina State. But let's go back to North Carolina Central. I was in a conversation, had a conversation at a bookstore, a book signing with Michael Eric Dyson, and I challenged him. I said, why do you all, the top so-called black, intelligentsia, you go to these top schools? You go to the Harvards, the Princetons, and so forth. Why don't you bring some of that powerful knowledge and brain trust into our HBCUs and teach there? And he quickly corrected me. He said, when I first got my PhD, I did apply. I applied to HBCUs, and they did not hire me. I was hired by a Princeton. I was looked over at HBCUs. So are we looking over? Are we not going after the top recruits? Or top players? Or are they not looking at us?
A little bit of both. We're not looking at them and they're not looking at us. As far as the parents of the students, I feel like the parents should support whatever their kids endure in life. If my son wants to go to a college that's going to help benefit himself and his well-being, then I'm all for it. I have no problem of top recruits coming to HBCUs. I feel like that would be great, because at one point in time, we did have top recruits that came to HBCUs. If I'm not mistaken, Ben Wallace was a top recruit from where he was from. He was averaging almost 35, 40 a game in high school. Now, this is high school now. You don't really have too many high school players averaging 30, 35, 40 here, maybe a game shot here or this, that, and the third. So it's kind of difficult for HBCUs to get the same recognition as, like I said before, PWIs, because of the small oriented family. And then you also have to think of kids are going to collegiate HBCUs because maybe their family went there, their parents are high on the trust board. So it plays a lot of role in that situation. So yes.
And look, I don't want to throw shade, and I do want somebody to see how phenomenal you are and hopefully pick you up. So I'm afraid to even go into this topic. But so Kenny Smith was awesome. Michael Jordan was awesome. Are their kids as good as they are? I haven't followed them. Have you followed their kids? I know they played, right? Both of their kids played.
Yes.
Okay. Are they as good as they are, or were they?
Yes. Okay. I would start with Bob McAdoo. His nephew was James Michael McAdoo, and he played pretty well as a forward for North Carolina in the years that he played. So salute to him. He was good. Kenny Smith, I wish his son would have came to Carolina earlier and not come from the West Coast. If you think the West Coast and the East Coast are two different ball type of structures, they play different basketball. East Coast is more of a run and gun, and then you have teams that are efficient in the half court. But the West Coast, they're more of like just moving the ball a lot of ball movement, setting screens. They're more skill, meaning, you know what I'm saying, very keep it plain and simple. We're more like showboat, because the Mecca of New York, you have a lot of guards from up north. That's why a lot of guards from up north come to South schools, because what they've learned being a child up north, they come back to, they come to South collegiate schools to let them know, like, okay, I'm from here, but I can still play my type of ball at this type of atmosphere because I can fit in, because this is what I'm used to. So Kenny Smith, that's why I was so easy to him to fit in the North Carolina system, because by him being up north, he was already successful. Okay, I'm used to running gun, penetrate here, pass there. So yeah, yes.
So speaking of up north, street ball is like really popular, and I often wonder, because you see these documentaries, or I've seen these documentaries where they featured street ball, where people are playing in neighborhoods, and I think there was I forget the basketball player who, there was several of them that came out of the same public housing in somewhere in New York, and it wasn't Brooklyn, it wasn't the Bronx, it was, oh my goodness, and there was a rapper who was also featured in the documentary. But anyway, they talked about how all of them played street ball the same. They, was sun up to sundown basically. And I often wonder, why some of these kids that they featured were phenomenal, but they had this like pizzazz and this swag about the way they played ball. And I thought Quint always says, my husband, y'all, his uncle. Quinn always says, that's not what Coach K wants. That's not what we don't come showboating. Don't come. We gotta, and when I think about it, we don't see a whole lot of people like dunking and like in your face, whatever, right? Our ball is a little more sophisticated, I think. Do you agree or no?
I totally agree. I'm gonna start off with Duke first. Coach K and Bob Knight runs the same system. Jason Williams, the winner of 2001 championship, I feel like he was the only guard that Coach K let him be him. No, he wasn't a showboat for us crossover, but he did have good handles. But he wasn't a showboat like Allen Iverson was at Georgetown and this, that, and the third. So, yeah.
At somebody at UNC, just come with.
Now, if I had to choose a point guard that had the charisma, I would have to say Ed Cota. Ed Cota. Ed Cota had handles. He had the pizzazz. He had the swag, like everything you just named, and he can cross you just like that. I name another one, Jeff McGinnis. The only thing about Jeff McGinnis and the difference between Ed Cota was just a little bit faster. But they both had the same charisma, pizzazz, and the handles. So, and this year, well, not this year, but previous year, I would have to say Kobe White. That would be my third choice. Kobe White, he came in and Roy just let him do him.
Is he playing in pro?
He's doing a very good job at Chicago right now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I forgot.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned. I forgot about Kobe.
Yes.
And it's funny
yes.
how, we're all about the superstars when they're here, and then they go on like a lot of them, right? Where is Antoine Jameson at?
Right now I heard he was coaching.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Okay, so he's not playing. Vince Carter's still playing, though, right?
No, he retired.
He retired. But
he
just
retired.
recently retired, didn't he, though?
He's, as a matter of fact, he's a sportscaster for NBA TV.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think we touched on this. What happened to us this year? You said their lack of contact. Kids want. I know COVID. Duke, I haven't seen them play that horribly in a long time. It was almost scary. Or did I only watched a few games, maybe a couple. Did they play all right during the rest of the season? The games that I missed. And then for them not to, and I know they got sick or they pulled, what happened? How did they not get played?
What really hurt Carolina and Duke this season was, first of all, Duke really didn't have no leader on the court, off the court. You don't have that senior presence that would let the young kids know, like, look, we're going to get through this. Just take every one game at a time. And then it draws down to the coaches. I don't really feel like the coaches had a good chemistry. And I'm talking about Duke now. I don't feel like the coaches really had a good chemistry with their students this year, because it shocked me to hear when Jalen Johnson, after 5 games or 8 games, whatever you want to call it, just go ahead and stop playing for Duke and put your name in the draft. It really blew me, because I'm like, you're quitting. Now, I do applaud Roy for not quitting. Now, this season was better than last season. We had a lot of injuries, and when the injuries was healed, we just couldn't get back in time to make a run. But we focus on next season, and I'm excited. I'm excited for our new coach. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but I'm very excited. Yeah, I'm excited. Right. But yeah, I'm very excited. Let's go there then. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Okay.
Well, why do you think why do you think it was a good choice, and why? Why is Hubert Davis gonna be a good choice for Carolina? And shout out and props to my alma mater, for choosing its first black male coach, of a what they say, a revenue generating or something like that, sport, at the campus, on the campus. And is he going to be the first black of any of these big schools, black coaches? Also, I don't know, but why do you
No,
think he will be good? Oh, that's right, because what you call who just died, who was leading by, because
John Thompson.
yeah. Um,
Yes.
uh, why do you think he's going to be good? Tell me. Let's talk about Hubert Davis. Let's talk
Okay.
about his game first. Was it
Okay.
good? Let's talk about his game when he played.
His Hubert Davis, in my eyes, growing up watching him, he was probably one of the best pure shooters we had in a long time. For him to shoot a 45 clip behind the 3-point line and 75% behind the field and like an 85% free throw shooter, that tells a lot about your recruit and as a player. He has the championship pedigree. He was a senior, didn't get a chance to play with a 93 team, which beat Michigan in the Final Four that year. He was he's a top recruiter, first of all, so I still feel like he can get the recruits that we deserve. And he just the competitor, very sports analysis. He knows the game of basketball. He was a sports analyst for NBA for like 10, 15 years before he got the call to come back to North Carolina. And I love the hire. I love it. You have to pay respect to the ones before him. You have Nolan Richardson, which was the coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, which beat Duke in the 93 Final Four, if I'm not mistaken. And then you also have the late and great John Thompson. You also,
I told
you
you
also,
he was good.
you also, let's see, you also have, if I'm not mistaken, Tubby Smith. Tubby Smith, what he did at Kentucky, was fanatical. It was hysterical, and yeah, so I feel like Hubert would be just fine. Take it one game at a time, trust God. You're a Tar Heel, you're in blue heaven, you have that championship pedigree, you have Dean Smith in your blood, you know how to win. Take it one day at a time. Let's get to work, man. Let's get back to winning. That's what Carolina's always been about, winning. University of National Championships. That is the acronym of University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I love it. I'm trading for the world.
Yeah. Why do you love Tar Heels so much? Because you and your dad are the outliers in your family.
Yes.
Everybody else are Duke fans except you and Andre Senior. Andre
Yes.
Senior, I know why, because he is born and bred, raised Orange County, Chapel Hill, all the way, right? And it's in all of our bloods. And
Yes.
but so how did you end up being the outlier? What drew you? Because you are a die-hard Carolina fan. I am too, but I mean, you take the cake. So
Okay.
what's so impressive about Carolina to you?
Well, I would have to go back to for first of all, a little secret a lot of people don't know. I was born in Duke Hospital. I went to preschool in Durham, North Carolina, so I saw a lot of Duke shirts, and my favorite color is blue. But when I moved to Chapel Hill in elementary school, and then I've moved back, I made a choice. And growing up with my grandfather, grandman, Arthur William Laws, rest in peace, going with him to the car wash on Franklin Street, they had a lot of Tar Heel posters, and it caught my eye. So I was getting to learn the players and the history and, spending time in the hospital and things of that nature. And I just love the atmosphere. It's blue heaven. I love it, man. I
Yeah,
love it. I've
yeah,
been in love ever since.
yeah.
Tar Heel blood, Tar Heel bread. When I die, I'll be Tar Heel bread, Tar Heel dead.
That's
So
right. Yep,
yes,
that's right. Tar Heel born, Tar Heel bred. Tar Heel
yes,
dead. Yeah. And I tell people, I mean, there are transplants into Chapel Hill. There are people who come and move in Chapel Hill because of the university, and then they have kids, but they are really they're from another place. There's something about people like myself, and there's a small group of us, African Americans in particular, whose family roots are in the soil of Chapel Hill, who helped to
hmm
build that city. Our foreparents worked as, laborers, construction workers, housekeepers. We helped build the foundation of Chapel Hill and built it up to what it is today. And no one could ever take that away from those of us who were first or second and third generation Chapel Hill born, and that's true of everybody, black, white, everybody that's from Chapel Hill, that we can
That's
really
correct.
consider ourselves as natives. And I say how I define that is if you were in Chapel Hill when there was only one high school, two junior high schools, that's what we called them at the time, Phillips and Colburn, and probably about a handful, six maybe a little more of elementary schools, then you are definitely a true blue Carolina born and bred, Chapel Hill born and bred, Tar Heel, born in the southern part of heaven. So anyway, let's talk about your 5 top players from Duke, Carolina, State, and also NCCU. Let's start with Carolina. First, top 5.
Okay, my top 5. Number 1 would be Phil Ford. One of the best point guards to ever play the game at University of Chapel Hill. Didn't get, he was back in the 70s, didn't get a chance to see him play. Number 2 would have to be Bob McAdoo, a great forward at University of Chapel Hill. Number 3, I'm going to have to go with, number 3, have to go with Michael Jordan. Yeah, you have to go with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan would be number 3. Number 4, Brad Daugherty. And number 5, Vince Carter. Vince Carter brought a totally different game to Chapel Hill because, the last monstrous dunker we had was Jared Stackhouse and Rasheed Wallace. But when Vince came to Carolina, he turned it up all the way up, almost on the NBA level, on the collegiate level, playing in the collegiate level, but he was already dunking on the NBA level, which caught my eye. So, yes, that's my top 5 of Carolina basketball.
Okay, my top 5. Michael Jackson. I was going to say Michael Jackson. Michael Jordan, top 5 entertainers, but basketball. Michael Jordan, James Worthy. I'll go with Vince, and I think Antoine Jameson was awesome. I really do. And it's a Sam Perkins and Rasheed. It's a tie for them, so that's gonna be 6. So how did I do?
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. And
James, I don't know. I couldn't do.
I was trying to name a player of almost every era.
Right.
I could keep going. Billy Cunningham, King Rice, Rick Fox.
Bill Chamberlain, if you want, sir.
Yeah.
Started out in that original stuff.
The
beginning. Okay, Duke. Top 5 for Duke.
Okay, top 5 at Duke. Number 1 was Johnny Dawkins. Number 2 was Grant Hill. Number 3 was Bobby Hurley. Number 4 was Christian Laettner. And number 5 was Jason Williams.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, that's my top 5 of Duke, yes.
Zion too, though.
Yeah, Grant Hill will always be my favorite player from Duke.
Yeah,
what he brought to Duke was special, yes.
And I like Jason too, after I saw that documentary where he went back to his hometown and started that to help support those kids and so I just and Grant Hill because of his beautiful wife.
Exactly.
And their family, and then just and he's a collector of Black art and just something real special about Grant Hill. You're absolutely right.
Oh yes.
Okay, North Carolina State.
Okay, North Carolina State, number 1, David Thompson. And the reason why David Thompson, because he led his team to the 83 national championship game against Houston. So David Thompson is my number 1 pick. Number 2 would be Vinny Del Negro because he was one of the best shooters to come out of the San Antonio Spurs history at the 3-point pole. And he was also of the 83 team of the NC State Wolfpack against the Houston Cougars. Number 3, Julius Hodge. Julius Hodge was a very remarkable player that came out of NC State. He didn't get a lot of credit that he deserved, but he was very, very great competitor at a high level. So salute to Julius Hayes at number 3. Number 4 would have to be T.J. Warren. One, because he's a native of Durham, which I am, and as well what he brought to the game all 4 years playing at NC State was pretty good. So salute to T.J. Warren. And last but not least, I would have to say Cat Barber. He was a different player, but I like his pizzazz and his skill set, what he brought to the game at NC State. So those are my top 5 of the North Carolina State Wolfpack.
Thank you, nephew. Genius is common. That's a TikTok thing, but genius. Okay, now North Carolina Central University.
North Carolina Central, okay. Number 1, LaVelle Moton.
He played.
LaVelle Moton. Yes, he was a player.
Not the coaches yet. Oh, he did play?
Yeah, he was a player. He played in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. I was a ball boy then.
I was at Carolina in the early 90s. So
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I was a ball boy.
Yeah. Okay. So LaVelle Moton. No wonder he loves Central so much. I always think he's gonna be stolen away, and my husband's like, nah, he's diehard.
Yeah, he's family ties. He's an Eagle.
Okay.
Number 2, Corwin Holland. He played on the 94-95 championship tournament team when they had Greg Jackson as their coach. He was a great player. Let's see, who else? Brett Harper. He was a great player out of Hampton, Virginia. I like what he brought to North Carolina Central. Jimmy Boston out of Washington, North Carolina. He was a great big man for North Carolina Central. Salute to him. And my number 5 would have to be, let's see, I'm going to go out on a limb when I say this. Mike White out of Washington, D.C. He was a great point guard. He was also teammates of Brett Harper as well as Corwin Holland. So those are my top 5. Yes, Mike White wore number 3. He played, I want to say he played 96 to, or either 94 to 98, I want to say.
Yep, I think I saw him. I taught several.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, good.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about coaches. And because some coaches have stayed decades, just give me your all-around top 5 PWI college coaches, and then any of the ones you want to add for the HBCU. Let's start with just your top 5 collegiate coaches.
Okay, number 1, Coach K. If you go as number 1. Number 2, Dean Smith. Number 2, Dean Smith was.
You put Coach K before Dean?
Well, reason why is because the wins, 1,182 wins. That's a lot of wins. But you also have to realize Coach K been at Duke almost 44 years to be exact. And that's a lot of wins that you can win in 44 years. So yes, I put him as number 1. Dean Smith, number 2. Dean Smith, what he brought to Carolina basketball will always be top 5. So he gets, he's going to always be better than Coach K. But when it comes to statistic wise, you have to put Coach K as number 1. Number 3, Roy Williams. No, I'm sorry. Number 3 is Bob Knight. I'm sorry. Number 3 is Bob Knight. Number 4 is Roy Williams. And my number 5 is Jim Boeheim.
Wow.
Honorable mention, John Thompson.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, what are you talking about? Okay, so that's hard. I'm just die hard, Tar Heel, right, wrong. So I will always put Gene Smith first.
And I'm sorry, not to cut you off. Another honorable mention, John Wooden. For him to win 11 championships at UCLA, yes, he has to be a great coach too. So yes, top, yes, that was top 7. Yeah, top 5, 2 honorable mentions. That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Wow. So think about. Let's shift a minute to coaches that are now coaching NBA teams that maybe started obviously as players, or who are your top 5 NBA coaches? They didn't necessarily have to play, but who are your top 5 NBA coaches?
Right now in this particular era?
Of all time.
Of all time? Okay, number 1, Phil Jackson.
Okay.
He goes number one. Number two, Greg Popovich out of San Antonio Spurs. He's number two. Number three, I'm gonna go with Ray Archibald, which was the coach of the Boston Celtics with Bill Russell, all those years of success that he had.
Your uncle in the background, he said, "You're damn right."
Yeah. Number four, I'm gonna have to go with Doc Rivers.
Yes, yes.
Doc Rivers would be my number four, and number five, Steve Kerr.
Really?
Yes, I like what Steve Kerr did with Golden State with 3 years.
Okay.
Even though that was Mark Jackson's team, but for him to come in and take over, and he was successful, three championships in the last 4 years. That's unremarkable. So salute to Steve Kerr.
And I know we said Tobacco Road and all that, but we're talking all things basketball. While we're on that, we got a few more minutes, but while we're on this, give me your top 10 best all-time NBA players in the order, number 1 all the way to number 10.
Okay.
You can do 5 if you want to just do 5. But and maybe
I can do 10. Yeah.
Okay, let's start because I want to see where you're gonna put who I think is the GOAT and who and there's this ongoing battle, and so let's start. Do the countdown.
Okay, my top 10, number 1. Greatest of all time. I'm gonna go with Bill Russell, number 1.
Okay, I didn't think you were right there, but okay, go ahead.
You have to respect Bill Russell. Winning 11 championships with one team, that's big. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For him to win high school national championship, college championship, NBA championship, and 2 teams NBA championship, that's big. Number 3, Michael Jordan.
I was gonna say, dude.
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
What? Okay.
Michael Jordan. The competitiveness
you put
from
Kareem over Michael.
Yes, because the pedigree that Kareem had, all from UCLA, from Lou Alcindor coming into the Lakers and being successful at the Lakers, as well as the Bucks in the early 70s. Yes. Jordan was successful with one team, but you're very successful when you can be dominant with both teams from the West Coast as well as the East Coast. So yes, Kareem number 2.
Which we are seeing. So and then I was getting ready to say, and you put. So clearly, you don't think LeBron is over Michael.
No, it's no comparison. If we want to talk about LeBron and Jordan, we could talk about LeBron and Jordan in my aspect. In my aspect, Jordan is Jordan, LeBron is LeBron. That's it. It would never be another Scottie Pippen. It would never be another Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was the second best thing to Michael Jordan because the competitiveness and what he brought to the game. Now, LeBron is a whole different era of his own.
Yeah.
Now, he will go.
You're at 3.
I'm at 3.
Kobe's
4.
What?
Yes.
Nephew. All right,
yes.
End of the show, y'all. Good night. Thank you very much.
Kobe is 4. You have to put Kobe before LeBron because you have to think. Kobe
in the background. They agree with you. I think. Okay, go ahead.
Kobe was a totally different animal, and then you have to think, like I said, the competitiveness that Kobe had as a player was unremarkable. For you to tell your ex-teammate Shaq, I'm going to win 2 rings without you, and then Shaq say, no, you are not. But then you win 2 championships without Shaq. Touche. No questions asked.
Right.
My number 5 is LeBron. Number 6 is Magic. I feel like LeBron has passed Magic. And reason why I say that, because LeBron has the same features as Magic.
And remember, Magic was his mentor.
Exactly.
Out of high school,
so it's like when you look at LeBron, you're looking at Magic with a little splice of Jordan because he can jump. The body size of Karl Malone. So yes, he's a phenomenon. He's in his own league.
Yeah, and not only how he plays the game, but his investments, his business savvy. Now, maybe Magic is doing it on the West Coast or whatever in terms of
community, his commitment to kids and community and stuff that I probably am not hearing about. But I have just been really impressed with the way LeBron is leaving his footprint in the world to make a difference. His speaking out, his political stances, just he knows he's free, and he knows that there is a certain level that you reach. This is something, this is for another conversation, but it really frustrates me when you have players that or celebrities that are multi-millionaires 10 times over, hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, and they still feel like they have to kowtow, or they have to cater, or they have to, submit to the thinking of the establishment or other people when it's contrary to how they really feel. And I'm speaking particularly about social justice, when when there's this fear, when they don't have the courage. So Martin Luther King said the true essence of a man or woman is not where he or she stands during times of convenience and comfort, but where he or she stands during times of challenge and controversy. And LeBron has proven that his true character, he is courageous in the face of controversy and challenge, and he steps out. And I think he got some of that, that freedom, that sense of freedom, probably by being mentored by Magic, and knowing that after you reach a certain level, you got to give back, and you have to give back in a very authentic way, unapologetic way, and a way that's true to your core values. And you just don't see that enough. So I give my props to, he's the GOAT in my opinion for a lot of reasons on and off the field court. So
to cut off, not to cut off or anything, but to go back what you was talking about LeBron. I love his activism. I love it. The things that he brings on and off the court makes him better than certain players, because Jordan won't really in the limelight of being activated in the streets or in the black community like that. I feel like long as kids were buying Jordan shoes, he was fine. But for LeBron to put a major impact in the black community, him and Chris Paul as well, I salute those guys. My number 7 pick, Julius Erving. Julius Erving, Dr. J. What he brought to the game.
He married Felicia Rashad, Debbie Allen. Is that the one that married Debbie Allen?
I think so.
I think so, but anyway.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm not sure.
Check that. I'll check that. Right. So that's
number 8.
Yeah.
Number 8. Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh,
One of the best dominant big mans of all time. Number 9, the King Madreem Olajuwon.
Right.
Yeah. And let's see, number 10. Yeah. I'm going to put my number 10. I'm going to put Sir Charles.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Charles Barkley up there. Yeah, I'm gonna put Charles Barkley. Yeah, I'm gonna put Charles Barkley. Yeah. Even though people talk, junk about Charles Barkley, but that boy can ball. He was a dog on the rebound, on the defensive end. He can score. He can take you to the cup. He can take you off the dribble. He just wasn't successful winning championships. But yeah, he's my top. Yeah, he's my 10th pick. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh no, that ain't Debbie Allen unless that's somebody else, unless that's his new wife or something. I thought Julius Erving married Debbie Allen, but no, that's not her. Okay. That ain't her. Okay, nephew. So we've got 5 minutes left, and I have.
Okay.
I want to talk now on a personal note. You are an amazing dad.
I appreciate that. Absolutely.
When I talk to you, I'm just so proud of you. What message would you give to other young fathers out there about the role of a father and why it's important to be present and a good role model for your kids?
The message I would like to give black fathers out there is, it's a must that we stay in our kids' life to move them in the right direction. In life we have choices. You can even go left or you can do what's right. And I want to thank my dad for allowing me to the knowledge that he gave me and the wisdom, teaching me the narrow path. And I pray that when I leave tonight, that y'all will have a message that isn't very important to stay in kids' lives, because growing up as kids, you would think that the police are our heroes, but in all reality, they are enemies. And it's sad to say that because we are targets. It's very hard to wake up being an African American male and live in the society we're in. And it makes it even harder to challenge your kids because you have temptation, you have this over here. So kids these days are very mind lost. There's a lot of lost souls out here. And us as parents have to uplift our kids and guide them like they should be guided. I'm gonna leave you this. Without education, there's no success. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say either Malcolm X quoted that or the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. quoted that. But yes, that's what I leave with y'all tonight. And I pray that y'all take my words in consideration and move forward. Yes, it's important for fathers to be in their kids' life, especially sons, as well as daughters, but especially sons. Yes.
Especially, and I'm so glad. So girls need their daddies, but
as well,
especially boys
exactly
need their fathers. And so I
exactly
encourage all fathers, if you are absent, have been absent from your children's lives, make today your commitment to start being present, very present, being their protector, because there is this perception that that they are moving targets. And that there is a bull's eye, especially on black kids and brown, Hispanic, Latinx, but certainly on black boys' backs. And we are all waiting, praying that there will be a good outcome to this George Floyd case, so that there can be some hope. There can be some hope inspired into our kids, or put back into a lot of young people and older folk, that there is some good and that black lives do truly matter. And speaking of hope, and that justice will roll down like waters, and righteousness like mighty streams, and that the moral arc of the universe is long, but that it always bends back towards justice, and that the scales are not weighted against black bodies and black boys and black men. So I encourage you, as my nephew has, be present in your kids' lives. And let me tell you, mamas, stop making it hard. All fathers are important in all families, but mamas, y'all stop making it hard for brothers to show up, and for men, period, no matter what their race or ethnicity, period, to show up and to be present in their kids' lives. Don't hold your anger and the issues you have with the dad against the kids. And that's exactly what you're doing. You are, shortchanging your children. So thank y'all again for engaging in this meaningful conversation. Nephew, love you, salute you.
Love you too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
for having
proud
me.
of you. Everyone tune in next Thursday at 9 o'clock for another meaningful conversation. Follow me on Twitter, Michelle Laws #7. Jesus Take the Wheel is my handle. Remember, all the views expressed tonight are my own and not that of my employers. Follow me also on Instagram at Michelle Laws 007. We are out. Peace and blessings.
God bless.